Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to say this to you because I'm very sad. I'm very distraught. But there's no easy way to say this. But cancel culture has been cancelled. Good day, ladies and gents, my name is Hyozo and I'm DiscussThing, and today we are going to look at something truly beautiful, truly absolutely amazingly beautiful, because as I have made several videos that the DEI culture, the woke narrative have been turned around and the tides have been turning in favor of actual gamers and actual good content that we once used to enjoy very freely, even way before YouTube, way before Twitter, way before all these platforms came to be or be as successful as they are today. The notion of cancel culture and people trying to assert their totalitarian views and practices on top of gamers and people who are trying to enjoy good products and good media has been non-stop throughout all this time. However, there was something that happened a few days ago, and I know that most of you, if not all of you, have seen it. There has been a massive cancellation attempt by media, by activists, by people who are extremely hurt because their favorite show, and I mean the Acolyte for Star Wars, has been cancelled. They have been blaming YouTubers for doing this, people like content creators, people like me, even though not me directly, for the cancellation and for the failure of the show. Now, before we continue, I just want to point out something about what I just said. These people have been claiming that they're more than the people who like the older Star Wars, the YouTubers, that they're more in numbers, they're more powerful, they're more vocal, they're more everything, and that people like me and people like those big channels that I'm going to mention in a moment are just a small, very small part, a minority, people who don't even matter. Well, the Acolyte had a 17% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was cancelled after the first season due to low viewership, a massive dislike ratio, and of course, if you're someone who has any logic circuits active in their brains, you now know that what I'm talking about is that what they said is not true, because the Star Wars fans, the true Star Wars fans, didn't watch the show. I didn't watch the show. I love Star Wars, but I'm done with Star Wars. I'm not going to watch anything more that comes out from Disney Star Wars, because the chances that it's absolute and utter disaster is too high for me to try and give it a chance. I love Star Wars too much. I grew up with Star Wars. I grew up with the Clone Wars. I grew up with the prequel trilogy, with the original trilogy, with the animations, with the games. One of my favorite games is Jedi Academy, which to this day I consider one of the best Star Wars games in existence. So the fans of Star Wars, the true fans of Star Wars, didn't watch the show, and even those who did and made content about it were not enough, and the show was cancelled. Now, what we are seeing on the screen for a couple of minutes now is Rewriting Ripley Podcast. That's a tongue twister for me. So this is the petition. I'm sure that every one of you has seen it. It's not something that I consider serious because it's full of absolute idiocy. I'm not gonna read it because we have a lot of sift through, but you know this one, you know this petition that was launched. And the interesting thing is, first of all, if we scroll a little bit up, there is a media coverage of the whole situation. Like a media coverage, which I'm just gonna play a little bit.
An alarming number of users are exploiting their platforms to spread hate.
Leslie Jones was subjected to incredibly vicious attacks on Twitter.
I don't say anything I don't believe, but of course I do say
yeah, and Milo Yiannopoulos, who also has like a bit of an edgy take on things, was railed in with this campaign, even though he has nothing to do with the YouTubers that are currently have been under fire. And I'm talking about Nerdrodic, I'm talking about Ryan Kino, and I'm talking about Geeks and Gamers in name in particular. So this clip is amazing because it takes snippets out of live streams, videos, mentions that they do talk about stuff like that might seem a little bit edgy out of context to prove that people like the Star Wars fans, people like Nerdrodic, Rankino, and Geeks and Gamers are nothing but racist because they incite violence. And Star Wars Theory as well, who had several attacks against him for being the most knowledgeable Star Wars channel and possibly the most knowledgeable Star Wars person in existence currently. And they were attacked for allegedly inciting violence, inciting bigotry, inciting racism against other people, against the characters from the show, against the actors, against the director Leslie Henwood, who's the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein. You can do with that information whatever you like. And in the end, they actually managed to reel in YouTube, which they did on a poll, said that they're gonna take a look at the allegations, and they actually encouraged people to report such videos, which they did. Like a lot of the Twitter was filled with promoted posts, and I mean promoted posts like they were promoted with what I can just consider money, because I don't follow any of those profiles that posted the incitement to reporting and everything. And this is what Rewriting Ripley podcast has in answer of, because Team YouTube reached out and said, we have found nothing wrong. YouTube, who they thought was going to be their ace in the sleeve, and they're just gonna, okay, we're gonna put YouTube on it. If they respond, that's gonna mean they're demonetized and we would have won. And YouTube says, nope, nothing wrong here, no violence, no racism, no nothing. They're trying to spin this around that YouTube spend only time for one video, which is not true, because a lot of channels and a lot of Twitter users reported a lot of videos throughout time and throughout these several days. So YouTube basically came back with a definitive answer. And here we have the refactor, which is, however, thank you for confirming your inability to take safety seriously. You and your advertisers will be hearing more from us soon. This is a direct threat. This is a direct threat with legal actions because something didn't go their way. This is what I'm talking about. The cancel culture people, although they started more virtuously in the past, because the people who got cancelled were people who did wrong stuff. That was in the beginning, and it lasted for possibly a year. It was a decade ago or more. They are currently unable to just exist and not cause problems to someone who doesn't think about them. This is the woke culture. This is the DEI people. This is the snowflakes of the internet who just cannot accept that not everyone will like what they like, and they cannot stand when they spend money and they want to change the narrative to people who don't like what they're seeing, and when something doesn't happen, they cry racism, they cry bigotry, they cry misogyny, they cry everything, even though you don't have any evidence of that. Anytime that anyone has asked some of these woke people, provide receipts, provide screenshots, provide any evidence to your claim, one or two things happen. Either there is an obscure clip out of context, which is easily debunked when you post the context, or there's nothing and you're blocked. I have been blocked by 7 people in the past week for just discussing the Rings of Power. Not insulting, not attacking, just discussing my dislike and providing a lot of evidence to my statements. And I have been contacted by people and just insulted, attacked, bashed, and I have responded with pure and simple logic. And after 5 or 6 message exchanges, they just block me because they cannot stand that I'm not giving in to their rage. And that's how everyone should do it. You don't give to their rage, you just stick to the point, you argue to the point for what they initially attacked you for. And then we go back to, additionally, I would like to point out, Team YouTube, that nobody in Star Wars fandom has requested select videos to be removed, simply that a handful of YouTube channels should be demonetized. The lack of clarity in your response to address our real concerns is disappointing. So basically, you're calling out for to clearly just demonetize people and cut them off from their livelihood. This is what you're trying to destroy lives, actively calling out to destroy lives. I want to make one thing clear, and this is something that I think a lot of people of the woke community don't understand. If you don't like something, you can simply not watch it. This is not old school TV where you just can't either skip forward or just change the channel. You can choose not to watch these people and just focus, like you should, on the things you want to watch. And the Acolyte didn't fail because 3 or 4 YouTubers made videos about it. The Acolyte fails because all of you fans didn't watch it. Or all of your fans are so few that you couldn't even make a dent in the popularity. There are currently 70,000 signatures to renew the Acolyte. And I say, okay, renew the Acolyte. If those 70,000 people watch it, it's still not going to be enough because that's an expensive show. That was an $180 million show. The viewership was so minuscule that nobody was making money out of it. This is like Concord, because Concord is another nail in the DEI and cancellation coffin, because everything around Concord was so absurd, from the making, from the cry out from the developers that they spent 8 years making this game. Yeah, but you made a shit game and nobody played it. And you canceled the game, you removed it, you stopped it, you refunded everyone. That's what is happening. That's why the tides are turning. But to summarize everything, to have the media, to have YouTube themselves respond to your claims, get back to you and say, no, we have found nothing wrong, means that what the cancel culture is over. You don't have any more power. You have nothing. You cannot cancel people because the people you're trying to cancel have a solid ground to stand on, while you don't have solid ground to stand on. You're actively inciting for hate, for demonetization of people who are just criticizing something they don't like, which is well in line with freedom of speech, and you're losing because you have nothing to stand on. And as I was saying in several of my past videos, the tides are turning. We have cancelled video games that were shit. We have a selection of very good video games that have broken through and battled through the controversy, like Black Myth Wukong with the false allegations from IGN and other media outlets. We have woke games that were specifically made to be woke, like Dustborn, seeing an absurdly low player attendance. And we have the focus shifted to actual good shows and good games being promoted. That's the way it's supposed to be, because we, in the first place, we are the people who consume your product. We are consumers, but we are critical. We are not mindless consumers. That's what the woke narrative and the woke people tried to do. They tried to make us into mindless consumer zombies that just consume product, don't ask questions, don't think too much, don't dig too deeply. Just sit back, consume, and be content with yourself. That's what they tried to do. Well, no, not gonna happen. I might even go out to say that this push from the woke narrative is what boosted these critical channels into stardom, to being in the Piers Morgan show, to have actual media coverage, and to be more influential than ever. So thank you, cancel culture, for doing what you were not supposed to do in your view. And I would say I'll see you around, but we won't, because you have been cancelled. Anyways, that's all I have for today for this video. Tell me what you think about it down in the comments below. Click the like and subscribe button and follow me on my socials. Follow me on my Patreon. I'm raising money for homeless animals and animals in shelters. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers and stay fresh.